All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listeners. Good afternoon, Miguel. My name is Claudio, and I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We're very grateful that Miguel Brückner accepted our invitation to our show. Miguel, your
Hi, Claudio.
congratulations.
Uh,
How are you?
Thank you. Just right now, I'm doing fine. Although the year had been challenging the last year, mostly job-wise, and promises to the new year promises to be challenging too. But I always find little islands of spare time where I can work on music. I wish it would be more.
Mhm.
And I really couldn't work on completely new music now for 2 or 3 years. I released a few albums, but it was mostly older material that I dusted off a little bit and reworked a little bit. But the bulk of the material was from my archives, still unreleased material. And I really would love to have time to start completely new projects. Um, but I'm not sure if this is going to happen in 2024.
Yeah, yeah. Do you work full time, right? You have a day job as well, and you.
Yes, I have a full-time job in the social sector, and we are 3 people in the department where I'm working, and we desperately need one more co-worker, but we didn't get one last year. So that's basically work for 4 people of on the backs of 2 or 3 people. So
Oh,
we are all working overtime, and I don't know. In the evenings, I used to be able to do a lot of music when I even 10 years ago. But as things are at the moment, I'm so exhausted in the evening that I need just most of the time to recover, actually. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and now during the weekend, you're talking to me.
Now I'm talking to you, yes, which is a joy as always.
Well, thank
So,
you, thank you. I was listening to the big project called the Mansard Emetic that
yes,
founded in 2013 with your friend Matias.
yeah.
And feel free to elaborate at the beginning, at the time you guys released episode 1 that went to 2, the 3, 4, 5. So feel free to elaborate and how that came together and so forth.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to start right at the beginning.
Yep.
I have to go back to the days when I still was working as a graphical designer and printer in that little printing company, which I think I told you about in our previous conversations, which was a family company, and the owners were 2 brothers, and we really were friends. I mean, I was an employee, but we were also friends, and they had this female friend who was called Shari, and the Linde brothers knew Shari since their childhood, actually. And she was from time to time visiting the printing shop and said hello. And I knew her from just saying hello. And one day, and I think it was in the summer of 2013, she entered the the building, and I saw her walk in and said hello to her, and I said to her, "Hi, Shari. I can call Uwe and Jürgen uh, because I assumed that she wanted to see them." And she said, "Oh, no, 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 wait a second. I want to talk to you." And I said, "To me?" And there was this person behind her, and she pushed him forward, and he said, "Oh, this is Matias. He's my husband, and he's into electronic music, and he wants to get to know you." I said, "Okay, wonderful." So I took a break from work, and we had a coffee, and we chatted for an hour about music and everything, and that's how we met. And then he suggested, because he was also living in the same area than I, and he didn't know a lot of people who were into electronic music at that time, and asked me if I would like to start a collaboration with him. And I said, yeah, that would be wonderful, but I have a lot of other projects going on, like always. It also had been the same thing back then. Excuse me. And so I said, well, let me just finish some of the things I'm working on right now. And once that happened, we can see if we can do a project together. And I think I needed about 2 or 3 months. And it was at the end of 2013 when we actually met for the first session, which happens to be the same material that's also on episode 1 of our The Attic Diaries series. Yeah. But we released that 10 years later.
Why?
The concept of what we were doing was not in the first place to record albums, but to meet for spontaneous improvisation. We're an improvisation duo. And we recorded each session. Actually, I think in the course of 10 years, we recorded 40 or 50 hours worth of music. Wow. Or at least of sound. It was sometimes it was more and sometimes it was less musical. We just kept going. In some years we even met once per month, and in other years we only met 3 times in the whole year, or sometimes even not at all. I mean, we met, but we didn't record any music. Yeah, but all in all, this was going on, and the point with Matias. No, the camera is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing I'd like to introduce Matias a little bit better.
Yeah,
he's I think 8 or 9 years older than I, and he started to be active as a musician already in the 80s. Started as keyboarder in a band, and they released one album. I think the band was called Flow, on a sub-label of the IC label. Does that ring a bell? Do you remember the IC label?
Of course, yeah.
It was founded by Klaus Schulze and then sold to Michael Weiser. And they met Michael Weiser in person to sign the record contract, like in the good old days. Yeah. And that was in the 90s. But that particular band disbanded and doesn't exist anymore. And Matias comes from a more academic background, and he is IT person, technician, like you, I think.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a computer engineer. Right.
Yeah. And he was very early on. He was into programming music software.
Got it.
And he's very experienced on that particular field. He's actually quite a nerd about it, and he programmed all kinds of stuff, but not for commercial reasons, but mostly for university or for sound installations and in the academic field. And he, for example, there was one thing in the Botanical Gardens of Mainz. They made a kind of interactive concert in a dome inside of the Botanical Garden with where when people moved through that, it was just a little dome, but anyway, they had this dome and had lights, and when people were passing those lights, things happened. I don't know what. So it was like a multimedia concept, and these were the things he was into. I think 20 years ago, and he all the time he was involved in testing software. He was a beta tester for other software, music software engineers, or virtual instruments for computers. And so he comes very much from this tech side of things, and from the academical side of things. And at the same time, he's a rather shy person. That's his, on the one hand, that's his basic character, but from his work, for he used to do software for the financial sector, banking and stuff, and he was involved in, I think, financial security software, and he has a lot of respect in a sense for the social media, because he doesn't want to be involved too much in social media.
Perfect. Yeah.
Based on his, I don't know how your point. Obviously, you are more open to social media than him. But he's very careful, and he actually dislikes to be in the public.
Too much. I don't. The same as him. I use social media the minimal.
Yeah.
I don't post, any personal stuff. I upload the interviews and I create a YouTube channel for people to enjoy the interviews.
Yeah.
And but nothing under Claudio, right? Fairfax City Music with my name on the channel. I'm completely against social media. People on the other extreme put everything. They go on vacation, picture this or that, everything they do.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest doing that. And at the same time, and I talked to Robert Rich about this last week or 10 days ago. People, let me give you an example, right? You can write the stupidest article in the history of the universe. The stupid article in the history of the universe, you will upload it, and people want to say like. So one, they're not going to read the argument. If they read the argument, they will find out the stupid article in the history of the universe. But somehow people are like robots. They want to be part of because you posted something. It's a psychological problem. If I comment on an article, we rarely do, probably once a month or one every 3 months, because I read the article and I understand your point of view. But people, on the other hand, they want to be part of everything. If their friend agree with the article, they will say, "Yeah, I agree to," without even reading. So I live like robots, I am not like that. So that's a long answer to the question. No, I do the minimal. No Instagram or Facebook posting, or I just so happen that, like him, right? I have a day job. I'm a computer scientist and I do other stuff as well. And it so happened that I like music. So about 3 years ago, I began doing interviews, and then I thought, well, maybe I will create a radio to share the interviews, and then I move all the interviews from the radios to you open a YouTube channel. And people like the stuff. For me, people give me an hour or 2 hours like you or the time, and I want for everybody to benefit. I don't make any money. Every penny that is generated, Miguel, for the YouTube channel, I donate to charity.
Wonderful.
I do it because I'm passionate about this stuff, not because I want to make, so no interest to be famous, nothing like that. I want to create like a musical archive for future generations.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's my only motivation. So, but some people are part of that, and some people are shy, don't want to be part. That's fine, right? So
but that was like the thing that I had this because I already had started to release my music, and I had this this need to get the music out, to have some public presence. You have to be visible as a person, as an artist,
right?
and that was always an aspect of what we were doing that wasn't Matias' cup of tea.
Correct. Yeah.
He loved to do the sessions. It was always great fun, and he was very interested in doing that. But he didn't, as much as me, see the need to release something. And so, but it was okay. I mean, I had other releases. It wasn't necessary to release that music in that sense. And we made one album at one point with some bits and pieces of different sessions, and that is called The Haunted Attic.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing we did, except one thing. We had a side project. When in 2015, I had an invitation to take part in a festival in Brussels. That was, how's it called? Oh, it just escapes me. The night, Cosmic Nights.
Cosmic Nights. Yep.
And I agreed to play there, but I felt I need a second musician. And then it was kind of a natural choice to ask Matias if he would join in, because he had the German name of Brussels is Brüssel, and that's exactly his family name.
Yeah, his last name.
It's just the same word in German, like the capital of Belgium.
Right. All right,
and that's funny. And we were working well together anyway. So he agreed to do that, and that was the other side project of it's called. But we didn't use La Mansarde Hermétique for that particular project, but just called it Brückner and Brüssel. I don't know. Maybe I don't remember if I sent you that album or if you saw that.
Yeah, it is on when I went to Bandcamp.
Yeah,
it's lit that one, the 5 Hermetic one, and then that one as well. And both are very, very good, man. Both are very, very good.
So, and just when we started, by the way, we always met in the beginning back in 2013 at Matias' place.
Yeah.
And they had an apartment in a bigger house, which was an older house, like 100 years old. And they had everyone who had an apartment in that house had how do you say it in English? An mansard.
Yeah, a mansard.
Under the roof. Just a small small room.
Here would be called attic.
An attic. Yeah, but I always thought that attic could also be as big as the complete roof.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Huh? maybe the complete under the roof, the space
Under the roof.
attic.
Yeah.
But maybe here it was like small compartments
Correct.
under the roof that have their own windows and their own little roof. And so this was the mansard, and we met there, and it was even more. The room was even smaller than my room that I have now, and small for two people. But he had all his equipment up there, and it was cold. It didn't have heating or anything, so in winter it was quite cold. But we started there, and then we thought about a name for the project, and it happened that both of us were fans of a certain comic artist called Möbius, a French. That was his artist name, and his real name was Jean Giraud. And he was a creator of very surreal, like science fiction or very psychedelic kind of very accomplished comic art. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No,
and that is very famous in Europe. If anyone is a fan of that kind of comics. He's like the Klaus Schulze or the Tangerine Dream of that kind of comics, you know.
I got it.
He passed away a few years ago, sadly, but he's a real complete master. And then he had this one series called the Airtight. In English, the English title was the Airtight. The Airtight Garage.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But that was, in French, it was Le Garage Hermétique.
I got it. Le Garage Hermétique. So, got it.
It's a garage. So we were in a mansard. And so we called ourselves La Mansarde Hermétique.
That's what they get.
Yeah, that was inspiration for that. And people who are aware of that particular tradition of European or French comic book art, they understand immediately the allusion.
I got it. Yeah, I got
it. But not everyone. Okay. But if you're interested, you can Google that.
Yeah. So that was the first album, 2013, right?
2013,
you guys did it, you know, when you say improvisation, is really improvisation? Or?
Most of the time. There were a few occasions when we said, either of us said, I'll prepare something to start from.
Yeah.
And then we built on that. That happened a few times, but oftentimes neither of us had any time to prepare anything. So usually I didn't always have all of my equipment. I had usually one computer and the Blofeld synthesizer, which I could carry with me, and he would borrow me a small keyboard which I could attach to my computer or and then I just had these two things as instruments, and some instruments he had lying around or standing around. So it was with a reduced set of tools.
I got it.
Most of the time in his place. On some occasions, we also met here, where I am now. Or later, we moved from the mansard, which turned out to be too restricting at some point. And then he rearranged his living room and made room for his music stuff there in his living room. And from there on, we met either in his living room or at my place. And usually I just came along, sat down, plugged in my stuff, and we would have like dinner or sit in the kitchen, have a coffee or have a beer, and just start with something. Like
Right.
I would start a sound and I would program a sequence and play some chords to it, and then he would join in. And within a few minutes, we always had something going, and it kept
Oh, yeah.
going, and it kept always morphing into the next thing as we went along. And that often went very well. Sometimes it didn't work, but it didn't matter if it didn't work. So we would start all over again and just skip it. And but most of it actually came out of improvisation. We never knew exactly what we would be
Wow,
going
it's
to do.
amazing. Is it expensive? How expensive it is to have some basic equipment? I mean, back in the day, it used to be very expensive. People wouldn't
Yeah.
have a keyboard. It was $1,000 or whatever, and people didn't have it. Can the basic, like a sequencer, a keyboard, is something that most of people could afford
Today,
nowadays?
yes. Nowadays, yes,
Yeah,
definitely. You know, I think I said that already in our earlier interviews. From my job and my family situation, most of the time I was a rather poor student after starting with music, and we had a family very early on, so we never had a lot of money. My
sure.
wife still was studying for some years, and I was trying to do both studying and working. And then the jobs I had were good jobs in a way, but they were not especially well-paid jobs.
Got it.
So, so, so I always had to. I never had the option to spend a lot of money on equipment.
On equipment, got it. Yeah.
So I part of. I'm an artist in that sense that I try to do things that hopefully do sound big with very humble equipment. So I'm used to get along with, I don't know, secondhand laptops and 10-year-old software and 10-year-old little master keyboards that someone didn't need anymore and gave it to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that. So I think you can today. I mean, you can do electronic music with just a laptop. You know what price a laptop is. There are cheaper ones. There are more expensive ones. But basically, you can even start with a cheap one. Then you get a little bit of software, but you can already start with free software. So you don't even need to buy anything more than the laptop, and have one master keyboard and connected with USB. And there are master keyboards that are under 100 euros. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So.
And if you're talented and if you find the right software, then you can start to produce electronic music that sounds pretty decent.
Pretty good.
So these days, everyone just who wants to do it can start to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, there's no open end. I mean, you can start to. I mean, the Moog equipment we talked before the interview started. We talked about Lisa Belladonna. I think that kind of equipment that she has, that's still very expensive. That's 10,000 or maybe 50,000 all in all dollars. Wow. I guess I don't know. It's really it's out of my financial reach.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. And so and you can invest a lot of money in good computers, even better software. So it's open-ended. You still can put a fortune in there if you like, if you have one, spend it on it.
But then again, you need to be. I have seen some picture with like 3-4 keyboards in the left and the right, stack up to one another. But yeah, you can have.
Yeah.
A lot of money to buy, but still you need to be good. I mean, you need to be a good composer. The equipment by itself wouldn't make you a composer, right?
Sure, it's the equipment is always only as good as the person using it, right?
That's right. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And yes, I mean, over the years, now I can afford a little bit more of equipment, and I think we talked about that idea that I give a little tour of my setup.
Yep.
And but for the sake of better sound, I think I'll do a separate little video, and maybe we can add it at the end of our conversation, so that I can.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this will be about actually my live setup. When I play live and I have the room to use all the keyboards.
Yeah.
Or if I do a streaming concert, you know, like when I play live, but I'm here at my place, then I have the luxury to use all the equipment. That's different from what I do when I work on a studio album. If I work on a studio album, I use a lot of software and software instruments. So I produce in the box because the so-called virtual instruments, the sound of them, has gotten better and better over the years. And I really have great sounding tools, and I don't need the big keyboards anymore to have a great sound.
The sound
I think so. And it's also a matter of convenience, so because my little music space is not so big, and so it's also more convenient to work just on the computer and maybe just add some keyboards for some special jobs and plug in one and put it away, and at another time play another. If you do overdubs, like multi-track recording, like in studio. So I don't have, when I work on a studio album, I don't have everything set up like when I'm playing live.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
So from that particular album, then after a few sessions, you guys end up releasing the first episode, right? That was released. Actually, I was looking back at January 27, 2023. So it was like a year ago, right? So,
yes. The idea was, okay, so we had that one album already a few years ago. I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was 2015 too, or 2016. We made that one album. But the point was that other than me, maybe Matias is really perfectionist. And he was always hesitant at that, oh no, our sessions, they are not perfect. There are some wrong notes in them. Sometimes they are there's not enough development. It takes too long to come from point A to point B, and we have to really work on that before we put it out. But we never had the time to remix it and work on it, and so we never did it. And coming 2023, I said to him, look, now we've waited, we have all that material, and it's 10 years now, and we never released any of it, with a little exception. And so much of it is good. So can't we find a way to share that?
Yeah.
So, and then I had this idea of not actually calling it albums, but to make like a series with different episodes. And I said, let's say we make it for free. We don't make CDs. We make just the download. The download is for free. Basically, I mean, you can
Pay a little bit if you want,
You
right?
can pay a little bit if you want, yes. Donate, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But you don't need to. And the deal is then we don't have to make the recordings perfect.
Correct.
You know, these are just sessions. This is therefore the name diary. So this is what we did. This is what we did then. And if you are interested what we did then you can listen to it now.
Yeah.
So and we want to continue with that. And I think we have material for I don't know, years.
Wow.
And the plan was to have one episode every 2 months, and to take turns in taking care for it. So the first I was responsible for the first session to be released. He would take care for the second episode, and so we would take turns. And it was also he was more interested in the more recent material, but I said I also like the very first things that we did. So we decided that it's kind of chronological, but not like first session, second session, third session, and so on.
Right.
But instead, first session, last session.
Correct.
Second session, the one before the last session. So basically taking turns from two directions.
Yeah, I got it.
From now back into the past, and from the past back to now. So it should meet in the middle.
In the middle, of course, yeah. So you released that in Bandcamp. People know who you are. They check it out, and when I listened to the first one, right? Right? The episode number 1. I found it very, very good.
Thank you.
Very, very good. So I'm happy that I came across that, and I don't know. It doesn't have to be perfect or this or that. That it's good, and there are improvisation. There are sessions like Tangerine Dream have session as well. Though they didn't react, they didn't go to a studio and they fix that. Oh, I don't like the 3 minutes here. Let's do a card. Let's read the word. No, those were good. Good session with a couple guy that really like music over a period of time, and it's pretty good. You don't have to give an explanation to anybody. Plus, I'm not charging you for anything. It's free. If you want to donate a little bit, $5 or €10 or this or that, that's fine. Yeah. If you think it's bad, don't donate anything. Download it and listen to good music, right?
That's the idea. Yeah. I mean, it's also like some stuff we did is very much like Berlin School or Tangerine Dream or Klaus Schulze, but not all of it. We also made a lot of very experimental music,
right?
Or like noise or dark ambient or I don't know, all kinds of stuff. So people will be surprised about the next episode, what's in it. I mean,
that's the important part. Keep people guessing.
Yeah.
And you're from Germany. I'm not, and the Berlin School of Music, quote unquote. There's only a subset of electronic music and ambient and dark music, a film score that with electronic keyboard. That a horror movie guy will play some keyboard for a particular scene, right? So electronic music in general, right?
Yeah,
have too many subgenres, right? And Berlin happens to be, a subset of, I don't know, maybe 3-5% or whatever, right? Of course, everybody back in the day knew who the Tangerine, or is now Tangerine Dream and Manuel Washington passed away recently, or Klaus Schulze, and many, many, many other bands, right? And in Germany, right, there's thousands of people to play electric. You can go to any street on Berlin, and will be a guy in the basement. I don't know.
But I think it's not longer only Germany, or maybe it never has been only Germany. I think there were a lot of French. There's a French tradition of electronic music, and there's a British tradition and an American tradition. And these days, I think it's so many people do this today that it's like kind of folk music, in the sense that like maybe people used to play guitar and now they are playing electronic music.
Got it. So you put the first one there, then you released the second one.
Yeah.
And what was the reaction on Facebook about your friend? What people?
I don't. I mean the kind of feedback that I usually get. It's always about the same. I don't see a big difference from release to release usually, and there were like a few people who are like friends or like long time listeners who are following what I'm doing. They gave me positive feedback, and but that was about it so far. It's just now, actually, after we have put out the fifth edition, that it gathers some momentum. Just around January, actually, one of the things was that actually you came in touch and told me that you have listened to it and want to talk about it, but I just received nice feedback, and people were purchasing the latest episode or some albums just in December and January.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
Thank you. So I think it's a thing that we just need to keep going, and people will discover it. So it will grow, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was episode 2 or 3 that I think you mentioned that it was like a warm-up for the following day for the year cyclical festival, streaming festival. I think it was 2 or 3. I think I read this in the Badcamp.
I think it's 3.
I got it. Yeah.
Yes, I had. There was one of those streaming events, and I was invited to that, and I had put together new sounds for that I wanted to use, but I didn't actually. I had so little time that I managed to program these new sounds, and I had especially there was like a sequence thing with a bass sound that I could modulate, and that was the main sound of that piece I wanted to play, and I had programmed that, but I didn't actually have used it.
Got it. Yeah.
And that concert was 2 days away, so I called Matias and said, Matias, what do you think we could do a session tomorrow so I can use my new sounds and find out what to do with that? And so we did. So I used these new sound sets, and while playing together with Matias, I formed a feeling for what to do with that sounds.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's excellent. So you say that you have 100 hours, 50 hours total?
We didn't actually count. It's just an estimation. I think it's at least 40 hours worth of music.
And
or maybe even more.
And you always record everything by definition?
Yes, that was the plan. I mean, there were particular sessions. Sometimes the recorder failed or something, or we forgot to. But in general, we recorded everything. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And now, so after so, you know, episode 4 it was released in July 28th, and then episode number 5 it was released December 18, 2022. So last month, and it's very, very good stuff, man. So is the idea is to release episode number 6 soon, and 2 months after that, the next one, going back and forth, the second, the third, the last, the third, the 59. Blah, blah, blah.
Actually, we stumbled a little bit in our rhythm after episode 4.
Yeah.
And episode 5, actually, initially we wanted to put that out in October, I think, and then another one, 6, already in December. But we both were so busy at the time, in late October and early November, that we just, most of it was already done, but I needed to finalize a few things on it, and I just didn't manage to wrap it up. Do you say so?
Yeah, that's
and I could only return to work on it in December. So we already are a little bit out of that rhythm.
Behind that scale of 2 to 3 month release.
And the next one maybe rather in February. Yeah.
But
I hope in February.
At the same time, you do your own stuff, and you work with other people.
Yeah.
As a project, right? So it's not that you can dedicate, you know, all your afternoons or evening and weekend with Matias. You know, you have family, and you work with other people. You want to release material that has nothing to do with the stuff you do with Matias, right? So
Right. Yeah. I think the next thing I hope to be working on will be really the next P-Found studio album.
Yeah.
For that project, I think the guys are waiting for me to do the next step, so we can put up the thread where we had dropped it, because that's how it is. I mean, it's hard to work continuously on something. You start it, and then you have to interrupt it, and then you start it again, and then you have to interrupt it again, and someday finally it's finished. Like the album, another album I released on Syngate this year with another friend who is called Achim Breiling, and it's also a duo thing, and this is based on sessions we recorded, I think, already back in 2017. And you see that it's such a long time, and he's actually usually not a musician, but at some point he bought a theremin. Do you know theremin, the instrument that you play without touching it?
Without touching, yeah.
Just an antenna, and you make gestures and
get the sound,
yeah. And we met, and we had a session, and at the time we had the session here in that room, I liked the result very much, and I was very eager to put it out and say, let's release that next month. But then we had a break, and I had to work on other things. And when I listened to it again, I had second thoughts, and I thought it could be better if I do a little bit here, a little bit there. And then I worked for it on a while, and then I had to interrupt it. And this went on so long that I think 5 years. It was 5 years in the making.
Wow.
But of course not all 5 years from start to end, but off and on.
Of course, a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah, and I think that that Achim, that friend, that he didn't believe that we would release it. I have it here, I think. I think he believed it would never happen, but it happened. I don't know if you seen that one yet?
Yeah, no, I have no. I need to listen to that. Yeah, it looks very good. Yeah, I need to check it out.
Yeah, it's nice.
How many albums have you released all together with by yourself or with other people? They gotta be like 100, right? Or more.
It's more than the 100 actually. It was already 100 in 2012.
Wow.
And then
maybe 200.
After some years, it was like 135 or something, and then I just stopped counting. So I don't know. I
200 maybe.
I don't think, but maybe 150, something like that.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yes,
amazing.
But it's not. I think one of the problems of today's music business or scene is that in general, we have too much releases for the listeners to follow.
Yeah.
So in a way, it would be more advisable to have less releases. Maybe like just 1 or 2 per year. And I'm thinking about that a lot. So it's not that I think I do releases only for the sake of doing another release so that I have more and more. Yeah. But I really do each of them because I want to do that album, because I want to do that particular music and bring it out. But I mean, I have 3 ongoing projects. This is La Mansarde Hermétique, that's P-Found, and that's Bridge to Imla with Hardy Schmidt. And these are 3. And then I have like an appointment with Syngate to release 1 album there per year, and another appointment with Cyclical Dreams, another label, and I can also release an album there. And so there are already 5 albums per year if we do something every year. And so these are, and sometimes it's because when I do something for Syngate, they are a label for more melodic and more like accessible, Berlin school, but accessible, not too experimental. And so I do a certain type of music for Syngate. And then I do a certain type of music for Cyclical Dreams, which suits their label. But sometimes I still want to do completely different music altogether, because I also have other ideas. So when I have the time, I maybe think, so now I want to do another solo album, which I put out on my own Bandcamp, because that's really even more than the other music, my very personal music. So then it's 6 albums per year, then sometimes someone comes along. Like I had a beautiful collaboration with a spoken word artist called Shane Beck. I don't know if you have met Shane yet.
No.
He's a very fascinating person. He had, roughly speaking, a very hard time in his life, a very traumatic time. And he started to write poetry to get to terms with his
those events, right?
Yeah. And he's a music lover like you, and then he had that idea. I'm doing these poems, or a friend maybe suggested that would sound good, that spoken word that you do, to some music, and then he started getting in contact with a lot of musicians like you do, and he collaborates, I think, with dozens of or more. He has like 20 collaborations, mostly with electronic artists. And he also had contacted me already years ago, and he asked, "Oh, I like your music so much. Can't we do something together?" And I said, "I like your poems too, but I have all these projects going on. Let's talk about it later, if maybe I have time later." And for some years, I never had the time, but he always kept asking. And then I don't know. Then I knew on a particular week I would have a week off from work, and it looked like I had some spare time there, and I just said, "Okay, send me some of your poems, and let's see what happens." And that was another very spontaneous thing, and we recorded that one album, and it was all a matter of basically a week to come up with the music, and then another week of fine-tuning, and after 2 weeks we had that album, and I really liked the result. And,
good for you.
Yeah, and there are the things that you plan, and sometimes someone comes in and there's a spontaneous thing, or some small label is asking, "We would like to release something by you. Do you have anything?" And I think, "No, not at the moment. But wait, I have this thing on the shelf which I didn't release. Maybe that could fit well into your repertoire." Whatever. And when they agree, there can be very quickly another release, because someone was approaching me, and I think that this might be a one-off chance to get an album out, so I better use it.
I got it. No, absolutely.
So, but if all these things really happen, and then there might be 7 or 8 releases in 1 year, and then everyone is saying, "Look at Brückner, he's doing so many releases. When does he ever sleep?"
Probably you don't sleep much. What do you? Of course, you work full time. You have a day job, but your music in Bandcamp, are people buying music a little bit to pay your bill, your telephone bill, or this or that? It helps a little bit, or no, not much.
It helps a little bit.
It helps, right?
But it's funny, because I remember that from the releases I have, and from what people see what I'm doing in public, there were really people assuming that I would be very successful and that I would be making a lot of money with music, but I don't. Not a lot. It's like, I mean, I have sales, and if I have a new release, I have like between 20 or 50, or if it's very good, 100 sales. And okay, I have several releases per year, but it's always about that. Some are doing better, some are doing not so good, and that's okay. But it's roughly, let's say it's roughly 50. I sell 50 albums, and you can't
in a month or in a year?
No, per release.
Per release. Kind of per release. Yes.
In 1 year. So so I'm roughly, and I mean, I have costs. I have to
of course,
to repair old
equipment, and
old equipment, replace it. I have the production of the CDs, the shipping of the CDs, and all kind of stuff. So all in all, I'm earning. Not I have a little more income, but if I subtract the costs, I have about 1,000 euros per year.
Wow, it's not
So
much. So
now,
you really do it because you like it, not because
yeah,
you make.
sure, yeah. I always, my hope is that just the music can pay its own bills, so I break
That's right.
even with the music, so that
Yeah,
I don't need to spend, say, family music for my hobby, but the
correct.
hobby can support itself.
Itself. Yeah,
And
got it.
that's actually the case, and I'm happy it is, because that's already an achievement in itself.
Of
But
course, absolutely.
it's of course it's far away of making a living on music.
Yeah.
That's
And
yeah,
on the other hand, an artist like I don't know, like Taylor Swift
yeah,
reached like $1 billion or something. That's a crazy amount. I cannot even think about it. But
yeah,
it's a lot of people. Some in life, some stuff you do like this, right? I
yeah,
do it. I have a day job. I'm a teacher. I do a lot of other stuff. I don't read music. I don't know how to play an instrument. I would never learn how to do it. But I enjoy. But music has been a big part of my life since I was a little kid. I have a big music collection. I
yeah,
listen to at least 2 hours a day in the background, working from
yeah,
home, music. So music has given me so much satisfaction that I really like interviewing people like yourself and calling people over the world. And believe me, I'm very shy too, like Matias. But
okay,
I like to it because music is beautiful, So
yeah,
uh,
it is,
I don't make any money doing this. So um,
yeah.
all right, Miguel. So I was very nice talking to you. That's
Thank you.
beautiful music. I need
Likewise.
to camp and listen to La Mazar Hermetique again, and we're looking forward for the next release. You will send me a video, and then we'll glue it together and we'll post it for people in the YouTube land, YouTube world. Listen to these interviews, and I will also enroll myself now to get a hold of some people as well, and hopefully, people will get back to me and we'll do more interviews, man. But it was very nice talking to you again,
Thanks
Miguel.
for having me.
No, no problem. Very, very, very happy you're doing well, and we'll be in touch very soon, man. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. All right. Thank you, Miguel. Bye.